Today on Through Our Lens is part 1 of a special 2-part episode that I did with Lisa Buhelos and Randy Ho. You may remember them from the last episode where they flipped the tables on me and they chatted with me and my journey. Now the spotlight is on them. We are still in Saratoga Springs for this episode, and we are in the midst of the Opera Saratoga 2023 festival. Please enjoy part 1 of soprano Lisa Buhelos and tenor Randy Ho. Welcome to Wear Yellow Proudly's Through Our Lens, Conversations with Asians and Asian Americans. I am your host, Julia Sanchez. Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of Wear Yellow Proudly's Through Our Lens, Conversations with Asians and Asian Americans. I am with Randy Ho, and I am also with Lisa Buhelos.
Hello.
Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, Lisa, go first.
Oh, okay. I will go first. Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Buhelos. I am a soprano from Chicago, Illinois, and I mostly sing opera, but I also do a bit of musical theater, so I'm what they consider a crossover artist.
Hi, everyone. My name is Randy Ho. I'm a tenor. I am also here at Saratoga with them both, but I am in Don Pasquale right now. Singing Ernesto, and originally from, I think I said I'm from Denver, but if that was there, here you go.
Yay, fun stuff. This is so generic of a question, but how did you guys come into the arts and come into singing?
I mean, I've always loved singing since I was a kid. I always wanted to take voice lessons, and I started at 16, and my teacher was like, you know, you're pretty good at this opera thing. Maybe you should go to school for it. And I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. It seems like something I can easily switch out of if I need to. And then I ended up liking it. I loved it when I got there. And then unfortunately I never stopped.
She's pretty great. She's pretty great at it too. She
so
does
too.
A screaming glitter and gay. That's
it's so fun. It's one of my favorite glitters.
Unreal to listen to and also be a part of, just to sit there and watch her literally doing bunny hops while doing this.
I mentioned this as well because like for the Broadway concert,
it's the highest praise I will ever get from you.
Oh God,
Thank you.
You're welcome there.
I mentioned this during our Broadway concert, but I'm not a fan of glitter and be gay, and I've always when I saw that you were singing, I was like, okay, cool, great. But then when I listened to yours and I saw yours, and I was like, this is actually really fun, and I'm upset that I actually really, really, really like your version of it. I think it's really, really fun. It's very entertaining.
Thank you. Well, my goal every time I sing that is because I know so many people hate it.
Sure.
And, I need to convert some people whenever I sing this.
Yeah.
So every time I hear, I hated this aria, and then you sing it, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it was very much me.
I think that's because like everybody sings it so young that it's like one of those things that you have to be there to experience as like a great singer. To then see somebody else who just does it the same way as everybody else, and yours is completely different. It's like
it's so unhinged.
Man, Energizer Bunny can't even keep up today.
I think you said I was crack cocaine Cunegonda.
Wait, who said that?
Randy did.
Oh my God,
I did.
that's hilarious.
I have no shame on it.
Oh, that's so funny. No, I love it. I think it's such a great glitter. And again, I was like very upset. I was like, okay, I really, really like that version of it. I think it's so fun, and it's so you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, where I started is completely different. I mean, the joke is always that like, and I tell every young artist program that I've been a part of for the last year that I started singing because of a piece of candy. Right.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
You did. You mentioned that the first day.
So yeah, that's like been my fun fact for the last year is that like,
what do you mean?
I didn't start singing because I wanted to sing. It's more that I saw a kid come out of the choir room with candy and I wanted a piece of candy.
Okay.
And so she got me in the choir room.
Oh my God.
And thank you, Miss Golden, if you ever listen to this podcast.
Shout out to Miss Golden.
That's
Oh my God,
I love that
really
woman. She's still one of my favorite teachers. I still keep in contact with her. Her son and I actually went to middle school and high school together.
Okay.
And like
wow.
and then like at one point when I was playing ice hockey, her husband tied my skates. So it was like a crazy coincidence of a small world that we still keep running into each other.
That's so cool.
But
That's so sweet.
yeah, she really like started me off with singing. I realized that like it was one of those things that I was good at.
Okay.
And it
Absolutely.
was even I was better at singing than sports any day of the week, as most people in our field understand. But I still ended up playing some sports because you know, Asian mom was like, you're gonna do everything possible. Yeah. So I played ice hockey for 14 years while I was still singing.
Oh my God.
And
insane.
like wasn't amazing, but you know, I had fun playing and it kept me in shape. And then I got into a arts middle school and high school. So for 7 years I was just singing. I was singing in choir. I didn't start taking lessons until freshman year of high school, and I studied with a spinto tenor coincidentally, and he was like, yeah, we can't put you in the tenor section in choir because you don't know how to control your high notes.
Sure.
And so like, and I also really thought I was a baritone for a long time, but that's definitely not the case.
That is definitely not fair.
Absolutely not.
Like in high school, I remember like being in choir and then being told, okay, so you're going to jump up. Like I sang every part, tenor 1, tenor 2, bass 1, bass 1, bass 2, every part. And even in college, I sang every part because they were like, you have no sense of blend.
No.
Because like I just was like, I want to scream every note.
Yeah.
And so like opera kind of fell into the right place for me.
It's funny because like being in choir, I always hated the people that would do that, but at the same time, it was like respect. Like I totally love the fact that you can just stay true to yourself and just be like, oh, I'm not going to cover my voice.
Honestly, I feel like the auxiliary instrument in an orchestra sometimes in choirs, where it's like we only need you for this one note, and I just needed to be loud. Like I did my first Messiah this year, and everybody was like, we could tell when the solos came back in because it immediately doubled in sound.
Sure, yeah.
Especially because at the end of Messiah, it's just high A's for the tenor part, and so I just came in just screaming.
So currently we are in Saratoga Springs with Opera Saratoga, and we're doing A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, and Don Pasquale, and Randy is Ernesto currently in Don Pasquale, and then I'm stage managing A Gentleman's Guide, and Lisa is part of ensemble, and she's also covering Phoebe right now as well. So she has to learn like 2 different tracks. It's insane.
Oh, it's so fun. No, I know it is so fun. Why did I say it like that? It is a lot of fun. But I mean, the thing with A Gentleman's Guide, especially for you, it's probably one of the most technically challenging shows.
I know, and it's the best part. Like now, I get to have fun. I will say this is the fun part. Like a week ago, I was like, as we all were, you know, like going into tech and everything, just like, oh god,
Dude,
like
tech week's always the hardest.
Yeah, for sure.
This tech week for us specifically, like the wonderful but crazy thing about the show is that one guy plays 9 different characters.
100%.
And you know he has to quick change into all of these characters, and there's one that's like 18 seconds long. And
100%.
like and then
it's incredible to watch though.
It's so
like,
good.
It's so entertaining to watch.
I'm glad you think. I'm glad you think so.
I'm so happy.
Especially because every single time I sit in the upper balcony, so I never get to see him come from the coves.
Oh sure, yeah.
But it's like every single time I see it, I'm like, who is helping you right here? Because like
team,
you have to. He's like not even in a base layer for most of them. It's he's in a full suit. He's in a new dress. And it's like, damn, you literally just stripped down into a tank top and
1000%.
maybe some shorts and said,
yeah,
sweet, step in, pull up, go on.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's literally he changes and runs on stage, and like
because you're with him for some of them too.
Yeah, well,
especially for Miss Barley.
for Miss Barley,
he is so funny though.
It's one of my favorite parts.
I die.
It goes into one of my favorite ensembles too. Like the trio for Poison in My Pocket is one of my favorites.
It's so much fun. I didn't realize when they gave me the contract in November, they were like, oh, you get this cool soprano coloratura a little bit, and I listened to it and I was like, okay, cool. And then when I started doing it, I was like, oh, I see what this could be, because it's so fun for me. I love comedy. I feel like for me as a performer, that's where I thrive, and I just love finding bits and pieces where you can be crazy, and it's just fun being crazy and letting yourself be crazy. And with Miss Barley, you can just be as crazy as possible. You can be as unhinged as possible.
Yeah.
And anytime where somebody is be crazy, and that's the note.
You better know what you're asking for with this.
It's so fun. It is
honestly
fun.
You are probably one of those people that I look to and say, if you want to know how far you can go, you watch Lisa. It's the right amount, because every director is go farther.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're the person
let me pull you back.
Pull back.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh man, I mean, I don't know how you used to be in high school as a performer when you were starting out.
Honestly,
I used to not be that way at all.
Yeah,
oh really?
Something I still get nervous about doing something for the first time in front of people, as we should, because it shows that it's never not scary.
Of course.
You just get more comfortable with it. And
somebody said that. I think it was Eric Whitaker actually. That said that.
Eric Whitaker.
It's the fear of performing doesn't get any easier. You just get comfortable. You just get more comfortable. With
Yeah.
fear.
Oh, 1,000%.
And so like going far enough for me is either I am like somebody who has to go to certain extremes in everything, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
voice lessons, I've always gone to the extremes of what they've been asking, and then I've had to be pulled back.
Yeah.
Or like in acting, especially where it's like I'm used to like running at full sprint.
Yeah.
And like in Pasquale, I'm running full sprint at one point.
Well, you're literally the way that they do Pasquale, it's kind of like ours, but especially for you guys, you're using the entire space. You're going upstairs, you're going
And
downstairs,
arguably even more than we are, because
think
they are
they are.
using
They-
the upstairs parts as well. Like they have 6 entrances, and
like-
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm normally gassed by the time I'm making the first entrance in the overture that we have. That's
yeah.
like I am
I can't believe- yeah.
sprinting down these stairs.
Yeah.
And it's
Sing
like
opera.
sprinting down stairs is scary.
oh, terrifying.
I
Yeah.
can't do
like,
that.
I do it, but I've always sprinted downstairs. Like
Sure,
that's
yeah.
if every roommate I've ever had has been like, "Oh, I know when you go down the stairs because it's
I just laughed really loud.
sorry, Mike."
So sorry, Mike. You might need to cut that.
And so like it sounds like somebody fell down the stairs when I run down the stairs.
Sure, it's like the huge thump. Yeah.
No, it's not even. It's like a scurry.
Oh,
You
is
know?
it? Okay.
You see
You
me
do
running
see-
down from
yeah.
like the hide,
Uh-huh.
like the
Yeah,
hiding
yeah.
from like the bushes or
Yes,
wherever I'm
uh-huh.
at. That's how fast I go downstairs.
Oh, fascinating. Oh my
And
god.
so it's just a
like
scurry.
all the way across.
Yeah,
oh,
all the
like
way to
and
the
at
audience.
3. Oh, insane. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so like that's
Yeah.
just my normal.
Bro,
pace
I was
down the stairs.
watching you for opening night, and his fool was just like
Yes.
chest and
I was
like Randy.
how can he sing after this? And you have to sing Ernesto, which is
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I mean it's definitely the highest role I've ever touched because everything
Okay.
sits at E, F, G, A, and then it's like I barely come down.
Sure, yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean that is definitely the hardest part, and like I like what you don't see is me running downstairs
Yeah.
later to just
Yes.
continuously hook myself back down
oh my god.
to remind myself you can come back down.
Sure, yeah.
How do you I was thinking this the other day, like when I was watching you do Pasquale, how do you, because I feel like you're like me, you're a high energy performer, how do you pace yourself with a role like that?
What a
like
great
how
question.
do you vocally pace yourself?
I think I have to
Yeah.
remind myself like what my teacher and I talk about is like really centering your body well. So like I will just sit downstairs and I will re-ground myself with some sort of like hum is what I
Yeah.
really like. SOVTEs for some people in this industry who
We love an
want to be.
SOVT.
I don't love straw work. Like the straw for me
Yeah.
has never really done much unless it's in water. Right?
Interesting.
Love that.
But I've always like had this really good connection to a chest position, throat position, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
And where it's like, for me, a V hooks me back in, a stifling an F, right?
Like a buzz back in.
So like
Yeah.
I usually one of my warm ups that I do, and Nathan gives me a lot of weird looks for it all the time, and everybody who I've ever shown it to, they're like, it's like mouth trumpet, but also a fart,
Oh, okay.
where it's like.
This sounds so
That is-
cool.
Yeah.
Julian is over there right now, just like
Is
staring
this
at
is
us.
this time for Julian's cameo?
I think that's up to Julian.
It's
We are gonna be
Julian's
graced with Julian's
cameo.
cameo.
And from the last
Come on
episode
in.
that we had, it's Julian.
yeah.
Julian.
You'd like me to do?
No,
We
were
just
saying-
wanted to show your face on camera.
I think
Give
come on
us
camera.
some
I
eye
think come on
candy.
camera more.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, that
Yay!
Yay! You still have a little bit of concealer on your forehead.
I
by
do?
the way.
Oh,
yeah.
goodness. That's
I think Sasha was putting. Oh yeah.
Their roommate
yeah.
decided to put concealer
Yeah.
on everybody's faces.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even like to conceal anything specific. It was just like literally just like putting dots on all of us.
Wait, why am I making a cameo again?
Because
We just
you
wanted
wanted to.
You
Oh,
wanted to be
yes.
on-
Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. It's Julian from episode 3.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
This is the multiverse of madness.
What an adventure.
The Asian
Multiverse
multiverse of
of-
madness.
Correct.
True.
Yeah. Do you want to get into like what we identify as nationality wise?
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, we've been talking about.
Actually, before that, can we? I was gonna ask a question. What are your pre-performance rituals if you have any? I mean, it can literally be like I eat a banana and then
Yeah.
I just go perform. To like like something a
Yeah.
lot more. To something
I ate a
lot more
banana and then I go on
I
stage.
just like have like the top of half of a muffin and we just go on, or like you like just like a little bit more intricate or whatever. I was just wondering
Yeah.
about that. Actually, I think you guys are some of the first like actively performing singers that I've had so far in this in this podcast.
Yes,
I've had a
we did
violist. I've had an educator.
Trying.
I've
Trying.
had a pianist / conductor. But I've never had actual singers.
Don't worry, we got that camera too.
Oh, perfect.
We got all of them. 3.
You got all of them. Yeah.
So for me, before I go on stage, there's a quote from The Office that's like, I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
And so I know ever since I was in community theater, we always did shakedowns. And to this day, I cannot go on stage without doing a little shakedown.
Wait, what do you mean by shakedown?
Like it's like you shake, like it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh,
1,
yes,
2, 3,
yes,
4, 5,
yes,
6,
yes.
7, 8.
Oh, is that what you called them? I called them 16s.
16.
Because mine
Do
were
you
like
start for
punches.
16?
You're
You
like
punch?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like
Oh,
all the way
you
16,
punch.
and then you cut it in half. Like
Oh,
you go
wow.
up, down, but you cut it down every single time you make a cycle.
Really?
It's weird. I'll show you later.
Can
Yeah,
you
I need
look
to
at-
see that.
Okay. So for those that don't know, like with the shakedown, like so I learned it as like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. You can't see my feet. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
See,
like,
like,
shaky
that's it
hand
for
and
me.
then
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's the way I learned it.
I like
Yeah.
that.
So, but I go to 16 because I
Okay.
just
Because
I
you're
like
a psycho.
it's fine. Call me what you will.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
tenor.
Okay, so sorry.
Hey, I'm a
he's like-
soprano. I'm also crazy.
Yeah, this is a really controversial duo you have.
Yeah,
here. A
you
soprano
have,
and a
like-
well, that's
tenor
why
in
I
the
asked
You
same
have
both
a
of you.
high soprano and a high tenor
That's why I asked both
together.
of you on here.
for unhinged moments like this.
Yeah, so far it's
Man,
I
you're
don't
gonna have
think
to edit some pretty hard stuff.
I don't think
No.
so. Well, that's the thing is like I feel like
I don't think you're gonna edit this. I think
I
you're
don't
just
think so.
gonna
I
let
think
it
you are.
go.
Just gonna put it on the internet.
I just let him talk, and I thought that was really great because I love listening to everything about it, and I'm just like right now I love listening to both of you. This is like in normal life we're like way more unhinged and like knowing each other for the past month at this point, and this is like some of the most like normal conversation we've actually had.
Yeah.
Punching each other, but we just definitely like be like fucking with each other at this point.
Oh, yeah, consistently
1000%.
all day.
Yeah. Like when I woke up on the couch this afternoon, Randy like threw the comforter on me and then just started making biscuits on my chest.
I did do that. And then I said, "You are now Mr. Biscuit."
Yeah, I just like stared at him. I was like so groggy, and you guys were already over. I'm just
You're
like,
so stupid.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
Randy's
you know what?
wild.
Here's the thing.
Randy
I'm
is
weird.
Bizarro.
I'm weird,
love it.
and I'm fully
No, I think it's
accepting. It's
great.
like, if you can't accept my weird, you can't be a part of my life.
1000%. I don't think it's weird.
realized we could be friends when we both realized we're crazy.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
It's very endearing though. I will say, like, it's been very familial, like especially having you guys here all the time, like all the time. You know,
Yeah,
like
we never leave Julius's house.
Yeah, we
It's
kind of just
amazing.
live here.
it's great because like I mean at this point you guys are like part of like all this. Like it's weird if you aren't here. It's so quiet and it's just like what? Where are you guys? Like I get it, especially like the past like few days when we've been going into matinees and performances and everything, and like like
Yeah, at least you
classes.
had Lisa in your rehearsals. It was just me, Trevor, and Haley
Well, but at least
for
you,
like
you know.
multiple days.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so sad.
But I was
miss
still
you
here in
guys.
between.
Oh my god, yeah. Like there was a time when like Randy came over at like 12:15 to just do dishes for like 30 minutes, and then
that's
like
right,
came over and then just like left.
yeah, you
AM, by the
forgot.
way,
12:15
12:15
a.m. Yeah. And it was but like the thing is,
Okay,
like,
but I had just made pho and the pot was empty and it was gonna dry out.
Dude,
so I was,
it was
like, I have
12
to clean
in the
that.
morning.
That
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
he couldn't sleep because like there were dishes that were still left over.
It was a dirty pot, and I had just made pho for the first time in like a big pot. But the first time I did it in like a slow cooker. This time it was
Oh,
like
yeah, you
full
did. That's
pot
right, that's right.
operation where I sat here for 8 hours.
Oh, it was longer. It was way longer.
Oh, it was like 10 hours.
He
Yeah,
does
it
make
was-
very
it was
good
still longer
pho.
than that. It was
Very
stunning.
good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you,
It's
because it was one of those things I learned how to do over the pandemic was cook.
Oh, did you?
Really?
Yeah, I
So wait,
really
you never
wanted-
cooked before that?
I just wasn't like into cooking Vietnamese food.
Okay.
Like I obviously like college, you learn how to cook like the basic stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But like I really
Thanks.
wanted to learn how to make some of the foods my mom would make for me.
Oh, 1000%.
And just like
Yeah,
pho
actually,
is one of those things
that's
that
kind of a-
is really important.
Say
Well,
that's
since we're
all-
like kind of on the topic already, let's talk about like
Our
how do you
identities?
identify?
So I am a quarter Japanese, and
counts.
I count. I did it. I gotta say, one of the first things I always think of when I'm like hanging out with like other like Asian people is I always think of that College Humor skit where
we were just talking about this.
Oh my god, I know what you're talking about.
you know exactly what I'm talking about. So like
Yeah.
when
You're
you asked me
black.
to be on the podcast, I was like, oh man, I'm 25%. I was like, do I even count? Like, am I
No, you
Asian
do. No,
enough?
of course you do.
And then yes, yeah, and like I thought back to that College Humor skit, and basically,
Well, isn't
it's
he a
like,
tenth in that video or like a quarter?
Yeah, he's like 15% Asian. They're like having this big discussion, and then there's a quarter Asian person. He's
Oh
a
yeah,
quarter
and then
Asian.
they I remember
and
this.
and like it's like full Asian, half Asian, quarter Asian, and then every time like the half Asian and the quarter, like the full Asian are like, you are this, and then the quarter Asian's like, I'm sorry guys, like should I even be up here? And they're like, no, you're doing great.
It's like a panel of Asians and he's like a panel of black people and stuff.
And then they're like 0.5% black. You're black.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I'm.
You can. Oh well, here's the thing. Is like I do believe, like with respect to you and your identity, you can understand this feeling of being in the room, and we were talking about this in the last episode too. It's like like you're the only one waving the flag, or you're the only one. You can understand certain things that that comes with the territory of
yes.
But even so, it's like it's a part of you. So why not?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
That's to me like gatekeeping. Why can't you identify that way?
So I'm also half Greek, and I'm 25% Finnish. So
and the Buhelos is
Greek.
Yeah, it's not
Buhelos.
Buhelos.
I always want to say Buhelos, but like I've trained myself to say Buhelos every single time I
oh yeah,
for your
I've
name.
like had to like
Yeah.
that's why I give you weird nicknames so I can remember your last name.
Buhelos.
No, it's like Ferris Bueller, but it's
Oh.
Buhelos. But like so, being a quarter Asian, half Greek, and a quarter Finnish.
Yes.
Like how did that change your identificators, or like I guess how do you identify with all three?
Yeah, well, I remember when I was a kid, like, on, standardized tests, you have to like mark your identity, and it was, you can only mark one box.
Right.
And I had to mark, I only marked white, and, because I'm mostly white. And like, you put all these things together, and I don't look Asian necessarily, but like, I look like I'm something. Like
Ethnically ambiguous.
I'm ethnically ambiguous. And so, but it's like,
you look Greek. Like
I do look.
Yeah, you look Greek.
I do
I
look
think
Greek.
so. Yeah,
I
yeah.
do look Greek. But
Oh, I thought you said you look great, which I was like, yeah, true.
yeah, you look.
Oh,
Greek.
thank you.
look great too.
Great and Greek.
Greek and
I
Greek.
look great, and I look Greek.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so when I was a kid, like I was, very aware of my Japanese identity. My grandpa is from Japan. He immigrated here in the 50s. Same with my grandma. She immigrated from Finland.
Oh, wow.
And he's a very interesting man. And yeah, so I was very aware, but he died when I was very young too. He died when I was 9, I was 9, yeah. And so, kind of at that point too, it's like I didn't, at the time get to learn too much about my Asian identity, but I knew a lot more than the normal person about, like samurai culture and,
So like
Japanese things. Yeah.
Was this exploration later in life that you wanted to learn more of it by yourself? Because I think that's a very interesting thing where it's like being of multiple nationalities here, right? You have the opportunity to learn more about Japanese culture, even though you weren't directly like raised with it in front of you the same way like I was.
Yeah, like it's just kind of slowly
Japanese, just to put that out there.
like slowly over time you learn a lot more. And like my brother recently went to Japan,
Okay.
and he
Older or younger?
He's younger.
Okay.
Man, your brother, like, you want to talk about people who are or like a quarter Asian and
Yes.
don't look a quarter Asian? Look at
That's
Lisa's
my brother. My brother
Like,
is
he's blonde.
Oh,
pale,
wow,
blue-eyed, and it's funny because my family is a big tennis family. None of my family are musicians. They are all athletes.
Okay.
So you are.
I am a quarter Japanese. I am a quarter Finnish, and I am half Greek.
Okay.
I am a melting pot.
Yeah.
I love that. So you said
Yeah.
your grandpa and your grandmom moved here in the 50s?
My grandpa immigrated here from Japan in the 50s. And my grandma was from Finland, and she came here also in the 50s. He was a really cool guy. He was a nuclear physicist.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he worked at Argonne Laboratory in Illinois, which is like one of the top like labs in the country. Like I think, and he discovered something called the diproton.
Okay.
Like
he discovered it. Wow.
Yes, like he's like yeah. So he's like
That's kind of dope.
That's
yeah.
freaking cool.
I got none of those genes. I am an absolute like I oh my God, I had an audition at University of Chicago because and I was like walking around and I was like, man, I had like a come to Jesus moment. I was like, in another life, if I inherited my grandpa's genes, this could have been me. And I was like, this is a dark timeline. But yeah,
Sponsored by Lifesavers.
Sponsored by Lifesavers. But yeah, so he was a nuclear physicist. My grandma was a Fulbright scholar.
Okay, wow.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
very, very smart family.
What happened to you?
Literally, I don't know. I got a C in chemistry. Like
I failed biology.
Absolute...
I flunked biology.
Oh no.
bad Asian.
It's fine. Yeah, I have no idea.
I love how
what
that's a
happened to me.
definition for all of us is like grades, the determining factor still.
I know.
I got a BA for a reason.
Oh no.
I know. I got a marketing degree on top of my music degree.
I saw that on your resume today. I was like, you got a business degree.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So so my mom, like growing up, like he took her to all their conferences. So she traveled the world with him, and he was invited to all these like conventions with Nobel Prize winners.
Okay.
And he invited them over. Like he had parties with Nobel Prize winners.
What?
He was smart. Like I told you, like my mom, when I asked her about this, I was like, hey mom, like I was like wondering like if we could talk like a little bit about like grandpa. And she was like, oh, I have his obituary. I'll send it over.
Yes.
And she sent her his obituary.
Yep. That is crazy.
And like, it was like, I was like reading it right before this. He was like the youngest professor at Illinois State. He was 27 when he became a professor.
Oh my God.
Like,
Jesus.
yeah, he's
That's insane.
insanely smart. And
Wow.
so, and then I became this. And then, no.
A brilliant soprano.
A brilliant soprano. But, yeah. And so, like, the funny thing is, like, nobody in my family, like, does music. Nobody on their side does music. But he loved opera.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, and he specifically loved Madame Butterfly.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, he loved it. And because of that, my mom hates Madame Butterfly.
Oh. these are your mom's
Yes,
parents.
my mom's parents. So my mom was the first generation. And yeah, so growing up, he died when I was very young. So growing up, like I did grow up with like some Japanese like customs and like traditions and culture, but like not like too much. My mom doesn't know any Japanese. Like we know about like our family and like, you know, our culture, and like kind of growing up, like, you know, as time went on, like I've learned more and more, and I took like a Japanese studies class in college and like about Japanese music, and I learned a lot like in that class about like specifically like my family comes from like a samurai class, which is like,
Oh wow. Well, what?
yeah.
That's dope, actually.
Yeah,
this is actually super interesting because I was reading about this and
What?
there's
no,
a
my
whole
family,
lore.
my family is pretty cool.
Excuse me?
That's crazy that you have like you can track back your lineage that far.
Like, so we have like a family like family tree that they keep track of, and it goes back
What?
centuries.
Oh my
And,
God. Have you
like,
seen this? Have you
Yes,
seen this
I
movie?
have
Okay.
seen it. Like my grandpa, because we're from a similar family, it's like a very high class family.
Yeah.
And it's sad that we don't know any Japanese, because my grandpa spoke like old Japanese, like, and it was
Oh, okay.
beautiful
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Japanese.
Okay.
And like my mom told me, like when they used to go to Japan, people like just wanted him to talk because it was perfect.
What do you mean by old
gorgeous.
Japanese? Just like
Like it was just like the language just was like a bit different, like
okay.
you know,
It's
like
a little bit more fluid of just like how like
yes, like proper.
okay.
Proper.
Oh
like,
wow.
And he was
okay.
from like he actually, so I think
Is it kind of like having like an English person come here and just like talk to this kind of
yes,
situation?
like
Okay.
like old English.
Oh okay.
And so like
So it's like almost Elizabethan.
I guess I
kind of.
don't know
Sure,
about that,
uh-huh.
but like you know,
Wow.
it's just very like
It's very proper.
beautiful and
Yeah.
proper, and it's just not spoken anymore, really.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sure.
And so
Well, I assume it's
yeah.
because of nobility classes. Because
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
like a big
he's
thing.
of a high class. I would say, like,
Fascinating,
and
wow.
so when he came here, like, he had a lot of land over in Japan. We're from a city called Sendai, and
Yeah, not a small city, not like
not a
one
small
that
city,
people
yeah.
have not heard of whatsoever.
I know.
Sendai is huge.
I know, but like, and I think they had like he was the firstborn, so he was gonna get the
Oh my
land.
God.
And because he came here, he signed it away to his brothers.
Oh okay.
You know, and started his life here.
Man, that whole genealogy passing on thing is crazy to me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
Oh 100%.
Like
Yeah.
it's very, you know, it's very old and very
archaic in some ways. Yeah.
Exactly. But I was telling you about this story. So we have this story that I used to think was a myth, and then recently my brother went to Japan, and I was like, oh, this was true, like, because he learned a bit about our family there. And so this goes back to like the days of the samurai. So my family, my ancestors were samurai, and there was this one story where I don't know, like a great many centuries great uncle of mine or something. So he was a samurai. He was a very young one. He was 16.
Oh my God.
And they were defending this castle. And one day they were like out and they saw a fire at the castle, and they thought they were invaded.
Oh shit.
And so they so part of the samurai way is you have way of the warrior, Bushido. And it's like loyalty above all.
Right.
And so part of that is if you are defeated, the honorable way to go out, like death is the honorable way to end. And so he committed seppuku, which is Japanese suicide, where you take your sword and you stab yourself. And like it's a very painful way to die because you have to twist it. So he committed seppuku. He was 16, and it turned out it was a kitchen fire. So
oh my God,
he died. But I'm still here, so yeah, the lineage continued. But
you're right.
My brother just went to Japan, and he went to this I think it was a monument or something where there was like a ton of like samurai like graves, and he found our ancestor there and sent it to us.
Dude, that's dope. That is
What?
dope.
It's really cool.
I wish
That
I
is
could.
insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we do still have family in Japan. I've honestly never gone to Japan.
Okay.
And it's one of my, I just want to go so bad.
Like bucket list items, yeah.
But especially now that it's open again.
Yes,
You could.
I
You
could.
could. It's like one of those. That's one of my dream trips. Like I really do want to go through like a whole
Yes.
Asian continent trip.
100%. It would take me months, but honestly, 100%.
I want to spend. I want to
that's
save up
100%.
for an entire year and just spend my
Yeah,
money going
yeah,
on
yeah.
flights and traveling.
Yeah,
guys
100%.
Do what my brother did. He and his friends got a van and they just went down the coast of Japan.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
And the coast of it's quite
No,
large.
I don't even
too.
just want to do that. I want to go like to Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand.
Yeah.
Like I want to
Yeah.
do that whole loop and then make a second trip where it's Japan, Korea, China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
do those
100%.
because it's like there's so many beautiful places
Insane.
in each one of the like just
Yeah.
the
And the
multitude of
culture is insane.
countries
Yeah.
within there.
Oh, dude, add Singapore in that first part. Holy
Oh my gosh.
Singapore.
I want
shit.
to.
Singapore is gorgeous.
Well, it's just like I want to go. I've always heard about these and like
1,000%.
you know, and I guess I'll jump into me here.
Yeah,
but, like,
I want to hear
please,
about
you know,
you.
Yeah.
identifying as like growing up, I am like my mom and dad are both Vietnamese, but they divorced after I was born,
Okay.
and so I grew up with two different stepdads. Another
Did you?
Vietnamese
Oh,
guy,
wow, okay.
right, and then they divorced when I was like 7, and then I've grown up for basically from 7 to now with a Mexican stepfather.
Okay.
So
cool.
like. It's
Yeah.
weird. I grew up basically speaking 3 languages at home at all
That's
times.
insanely cool.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
So like my Vietnamese is bad. I'm not gonna lie. It's not amazing, but I can still like make out sentences. I can ask
Yeah,
to
yeah,
like
yeah. You can understand.
I can go around and I can talk to my grandfather.
Okay.
You know,
yeah, yeah.
enough
And that's all that matters. I
to
would
tell
say.
him like, I'm great, grandpa. Like, don't worry about me. I'll be
Yeah,
home
yeah,
when
yeah.
I'm home. I'm
Yeah,
done with
yeah,
school.
yeah.
All that. Like, I can have enough of a conversation,
Yeah.
and then I can go
Yeah.
to nail salons and tell you if they're talking shit. Don't worry.
Oh, that's perfect.
That
you
is
know-
my worst fear.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, this happened the other day. We went to a nail salon. That's the first time I've gotten a pedicure, and
Okay,
like
yeah.
they were Vietnamese coincidentally. Just
Really?
okay, maybe not as coincidence because like there's like a running like stand-up joke from like Dat Fan who's like, yeah, we were gonna take over the country 1 foot at a time. So like, don't worry, it's like a running joke right now.
You know what?
Like,
I just
Oh
jumped in
my
really
God.
bad. One of the only times that somebody looked at me and they're like, "Oh, are you Japanese?" I was at a nail salon and I was a kid, and they were like, "So you're
Wow.
part Japanese?" And I was like, "I have never gotten it since."
Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
dang. Yeah, but like, so like I grew up basically kind of like involved with a lot of like, I went to Buddhist temple and like grew up very Vietnamese Buddhist. in
And you
that
were
way.
born and grew up in Denver.
Denver, yeah,
Okay.
Denver. So it's like that's kind of all I know, and the scene is very small there. But like on the street where I live, like the main street that I live, it's all Vietnamese and Mexicans.
Okay.
Like that's where I
Wow.
grew up, and then maybe in like the not the greatest place to grow up, but I would go to the Boys and Girls Club there because like we were an immigrant family. I'm a first generation American, and like we didn't grow up with a lot of money, and so we grew up in like a really seedy part of town back in the day. But I never thought of it that way.
Right,
You know, I would
like,
get dropped
that's
off
like one thing that you don't ever think about. When
so like I
up.
grew up going to a Boys and Girls Club and like being exposed to so much diversity, and like
100%.
some of my best friends to today are still like really in that area. You know, where the babysitter I had is Lao, and just down the street was just like a ton of like a Mexican barbecue, or like kids from Nigeria were there too, because like there was like a whole immigrant population. So like I grew up just kind of like being around craziness, like obviously like in those parts of towns there was a lot of gang violence when I was young, and now it's been really subdued ever since Denver's kind of been gentrified, sorry to say. But I still go back there, and it's nice to see everything. I was there like about a month ago, and that's my second time only ever being in Denver, but I've always enjoyed my time there. And I mean, I'm sure I've only primarily seen the gentrified parts of it, but still, I really appreciate Denver.
Denver's a beautiful city.
Well, I mean, it's a crazy little part of town too, and like in Federal Boulevard is like this place where like you go down far enough, it's like the cross streets are Federal and Alameda for those who know Denver, but like it's like Vietnamese Central. It's like a little Saigon. We have literally a little like a Far East Center is what it's called, but it's like little Saigon. It's like there's so many different, like there's a Chinese bakery, there's multiple pho restaurants. There's a whole Vietnamese market right there that I grew up going to, and not even just Denver, but Aurora too. That's a huge. One point, it was the most diverse city in the country. Where like. I remember when I was going to Aurora, I grew up playing with kids from Zimbabwe.
Insane.
You know? And so like out there, it's in Denver is like a weirdly, you have to know where to go to find these certain different populations that like have always lived there. But for me, it's like they would shut down these block parties, like these Mexican block parties would shut down all of Federal from like top to bottom, and like you would watch drag races, like I'm talking Fast and the Furious type stuff. You know, and it would be crazy.
Insane.
But you know, for me, it was like growing up in school, I had a lot, like I mean, Mexican and Vietnamese cuisine, just top two for me. Best, greatest foods all the time. You know,
100%.
And so like when I was cooking pho, it's like a very like reminiscent thing for me.
100%.
Where that's what my mom would bring me when she was tired from work, and even now she does it because she's
I mean, like honestly, same with my mom too. Like, I think I specifically remembered when we first immigrated that the first place that we ever went to was a pho place. And like my uncle, my aunt, my dad, and I like we all like went to this pho place, and like that's one of my core memories of just like immigrating, but also whenever we're just kind of like. Especially when I'm feeling sick, or just like, you know, like we're kind of feeling like, okay, like let's just get some to go and like take out and just eat it at home, or just like wanting to just like my mom and I just like hang out. A lot of times we just go get pho, and it's just like usually pho places, and either we get like pho or we just get like Vietnamese like rice dishes or whatever, vermicelli. But like always, like it's such a very comforting thing for me, and like I'm sure it's very different in terms of what it means culturally, you know, for the both of us. But still, like it's for me, it's a very reminiscent thing.
I mean, it was also weird for me because it's like I grew up around Vietnamese kids all the time. But it was like I also hung out with a lot of Mexican kids, and it wasn't until like I didn't really know about the Holocaust until I got to middle school and went to school with a lot of white people. Sorry to say, but like I went to when I went to arts high school and middle school, I didn't know about other people, so it was a really big culture shock for me. And especially because like I never really hung out with a ton with the Vietnamese kids. It's like I just was a rebel like that. I didn't want to hang out with them. I hated being identifying as Asian for a huge part of my life. So like absolutely,
because it was very much this thing of just like, you know,
like why can't I be me?
Or you know, I just think I wanted to shed the whole stigma behind it. You know? Like growing up, very much it's like, you know, I was one of the only Asian kids. For me, like growing up in Houston, and Houston's incredibly diverse. You know, but I was one of the only Asian kids, and I just didn't really want. I hated like watching anime, or I hated it.
You just didn't want to do anything.
Because it was like the caricature. I learned this later on in my life, and like I apologized to my friend who, like, my best friend is black, and he loves anime, and I would poke fun at him about it. But then I realized later on it was me projecting my insecurities of like, oh, like this, like at times it's like a caricature of being Asian.
Man, I mean, like Fresh Off the Boat really got it right for me, like the TV show, where it's like I didn't want to bring my mom's food to school. I
Oh,
was worried
100%.
it smelled.
Yeah.
You know, and especially Vietnamese food is really potent of a smell.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's
Oh,
like
dude,
there's a
like-
dish
like
called
what's-
bum,
Okay.
and it's
I
like
haven't had that.
it's like shrimp paste.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
ferment. It's so smelly.
We call
But
it,
I love it.
we have something similar. It's called bagoong, and it's
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
very much it's so potent, and like we put it on everything. It's like
Yeah.
so salty. It's like our version of like tapenade or like olives and
But
shit.
see, you know what's really
Yeah.
funny is that we like spam for me is like a go-to when I move to somewhere new.
Do
and I just
you?
want
Okay.
like a comfort food. I go
Yeah.
pick up a can of spam and I pick up some onions.
Yeah.
And like that's and I cook some white rice and that's like
Dude,
very
Yeah.
reminiscent.
Literally, like one of my first meals being here, I had a can of
Spam and
spam,
rice.
and like I still have another can of spam actually, being here. So like like not that far up at all. This has been part 1 of 2 for my episode with Randy and Lisa. Please tune in for our next episode to hear part 2. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode. We release episodes every 3rd and 5th Tuesday of every month. If you enjoyed this one, please like, comment, share, subscribe, or follow. If you'd like to join us for future episodes, reach out to wearyellowproudly@gmail.com. Once again, this is Wear Yellow Proudly's Through Our Lens, Conversations with Asians and Asian Americans. I'm your host, Julia Sanchez, and we will see you on the next episode.